Welcome to a little sneaky bit of DM's prep. For Denizens, the Wilderland, as you can see, I'm in the midst of getting ready for, well, probably a couple of episodes ahead now. I like to get at least 1 or 2 episodes in advance, and whilst I don't really know exactly how much is going to be in any given episode, what I do is put together 2, 3, sometimes maybe 4 encounters that I can use. So I'm usually a couple of episodes ahead in terms of material, especially given the way that the Denizens like to get into scraps with nearly everything that they come across. Even though not always all the encounters I put together, like for example the bats in the last episodes, and even the spiders really in a few episodes ago, necessarily have to be combat encounters. Always like the option to be able to talk or sneak my way through things, not necessarily have to default fight through everything. But what I'm prepping for right now, it's probably an episode or 2 away, and it's the Black Rock, the Black Fang, Son Gorrowing, yeah, I think so. Which is, in Tolkien's works, this animist stone, this huge black obelisk, which is located close to the source of the Enchanted River, and in the secondary sources that I use, which are Ice, Middle-earth campaign books written in the mid-80s, early 90s, quite easy to get hold of, and I've got a disgustingly large collection of them. It's posited that Son Gorrowing was one of Sauron's lieutenant's sources of power in Mirkwood, in addition to, of course, the classic Dol Guldur, and of course his Barad-dûr. He likes his durs, does Sauron. There is Son Gorrowing, which translates to something like Black Fang, and it's this massive black obsidian rock that sits in the midst of the torrent of the running river, of the source of the Enchanted River, as it spews forth from the heights of Mount Mirkwood. The mountains in Mirkwood, I should say. And that's where the Denizens have been heading since about episode 1, episode 2, when Shazguth had a vision sent to her by the Witch Queen. Not the name I gave to that NPC villain, by the way. That's what player characters decided to call her. I mean, she had a name, but that's how they titled her. A vision that she sent to her disciple, the cultist Shazguth, as part of her ongoing plans to recover from the disastrous attempts to wage war and pillage the northwestern part of Middle-earth in the kingdom of the United Kingdoms, Arthedain, as lorded over by Aragorn, or Alessa, King Alessa as he's known in the 4th Age, having successfully put pay to Sauron in the Lord of the Rings. And there are maps, but none of them are really usable as a player map. And so I am currently using Dungeon Draft to create maps, and I have used Ice Middle-earth's maps of Son Gorrowing as a basis, so then I've kind of gone a bit freestyle. And Dungeon Draft I find such an easy tool to use. You see, I'm in the middle of creating one of the floors of Son Gorrowing. There is, it's a massive rock tower. I've created the bedroom of Hlaglin, the aged, decrepit, lich-like sorcerer who is one of the last remnants of Sauron's henchmen, and his sidekick, I'm just going to very carefully not name, who has this smaller bedroom here to the top left. So I've got the map sort of like laid out and I'm fairly happy with it, but to get it ready to lay on to Roll20 so I can use it in Denizens, I'm going to get rid of the grid. I think I'm just going to tweak how this chair sits. I can rotate it easily enough. I've got my internal doors, the internal stairs all set up, all seems to be squared away just how I want it. So now I'm going to export it, put it into a PNG, make sure the grid is off, the lighting is cool. Outputting at 70 pixels PPI. That's just the right kind of pixel format that you want for Roll20 maps. I'll call this SG Sun Gorowing Laglin's Bed Chamber, and then Dungeon Draft will export it. It's saved. Kushti. So it doesn't take much to sort of export it into a format for Roll20, and then I can upload it, which I'm going to do right now, add it to my maps collection. And if you find that there's something not quite right with it, you can easily go back into Dungeon Draft and just sort of like edit it and re-export it, because as you just saw then, doesn't take an awful lot of work. And then of course I've got the basic template for the different floors of Laglin's Tower, Sun Gorowing, the Black Fang, and a sort of blank version all ready to go, and I can just reload another template and create another floor. So I've got his bedchamber loaded in here. Now I'm going to go and stick it into my collection of Sargorowing maps. I'm still learning the new updated version of Roll20, but it's pretty easy to use. And here you can see I've got the subfloor, the entry level, the throne level. I've got a copy of the throne level. Not quite sure why, but oh yes, I know why. I made a copy of the throne level so that I have the exact dimensions of the map, of the canvas size, just ready to plot my new map into. So I'm going to call this bedrooms. Open that one up. Zoom in a bit. This is the previous level that I created a clone of. I've got a couple of tokens on because that's quite helpful to judge scale and just test lighting and dynamic lighting if you use those kinds of things. But now I'm going to get rid of the map, go to the map layer, get rid of the map, insert the bedchamber. And it just appears this is a distressingly small icon. So I find it useful to do is shrink right down. There's a number of different ways in which you can get maps to ping in. You can tell the map exactly how many pixels there are if you happen to be knowing exactly how many pixels you got in the maps, or you can just sort of like stretch it out and grab it at the corner. Expand it down. Gonna have to do it all in one go. Grab the corner, expand it down, get it roughly to where I need it to be. Takes a bit of finessing. And then if you can't see the little blue icon bars, here we go, see that little blue square there? You can just make it a bit bigger, makes it a bit easier to grab. And I wouldn't say this is most elegant way of doing it. It gets the job done. Now I can see, I go back onto the token layer on roll 20, just how that's looking, whether I'm happy with it. Move the tokens about a little bit, and then I've got to add in the dynamic lighting, but I've got another level all ready to go. So I'm getting prepped for when the denizens finally arrive at the tower. I'll have all the levels pre-done. Once you've done the basic work in Dungeon Draft, it's very easy to create cloned versions and create different levels as it is here. And then I'm in the midst of creating my adversaries. So I've got a folder here, San Gorrowing Residence. At the moment it just has Lagelin the Lichen. Here's his character sheet, not a lot to see in here at the moment. I've sourced an image for him, and I'm going to spend some time building him out, selecting him levels of professions in Zweihander, taking him through basic, through probably the whole of intermediate, and most of advanced. Lagelin is certainly streets above the denizens, who are some way, quarter of the way through the intermediate tier. He's not intended on being a classic opponent as such, more as a potential master to the denizens, but there's the potential plot twist going on, which I can't talk about too much, mainly because I haven't written it all. I create my storylines as I go along, and because for spoiler reasons, obviously. So that's just a little sneak peek into what goes on behind the scenes, and I'll probably create another video of me developing NPCs, how I set up encounters, and get prepped, and hopefully that'll be of interest to some of you out there who are running games, interested in applying running games to virtual tabletops like Roll20, and get familiar with using Zweihander as a system, or not, as the case may be. Choice is yours. Anyway, I got to crack on with a bit more prep, and I can't be recording videos of that, just in case those denizens sneak a look. So episode 7 is nearly up and out. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon on Denizens.